G'day guys, Jonno here from J&A Down Under. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to take you all the way back to 2011 when we first purchased the Troopy, and I'm going to show you its story right through to today being 2022. I did purchase it brand new in 2011, put all the goodies on it back then, drove it for 11 years. I had a pretty hard life going through the Kimberleys when I was working throughout there. And then back in when the covert hit, we decided instead of replacing it, we decided to give it a bit of a birthday. So let's have a look at the history now. So there we go, have a look at it. This is it, brand spanking new, straight off the showroom floor. Have a look, it's got absolutely nothing on it. You can see a couple of snips there, a couple of photos where I'm up on the roof starting to install the goodies onto the troop carrier. So this was back in December of 2011, and I think by January we had it pretty well all fitted out just the way I liked it. Now the Troopy pretty well had a pretty hard life, as I said. We used to do a lot of remote work in the Kimberleys, and by doing that it used to tow a lot of big trailers and also the camper trailers. So by the time 2021 come around, or 2020 when we did the refurb, it was in desperate need of it. So let's have a bit of a look around and see what it looked like before we did the refurb. As you can see from the footage there, you can see underneath it and the outside has absolutely copped the beating. You know, those harsh roads being the Tanami, Gibb River Road, etc. are really hard on any vehicle. But also too, what my biggest concern was rust, because it did spend a little bit of time on the beach and I was a little bit concerned that the rust may have settled in and got on top. So there was a little bit of surface rust, but by the time we unravelled it all, it was all pretty good. So underneath the Troopy, what we had is we had the air tank at the back, and off the air tank we had the solenoids which were there that controlled the diff locks as well as the air valve of just blowing up tyres in general. For suspension wise, we had the old man Emu, they were the plus 450s, along with the old Emu suspension shock absorbers as well. We also had some airbags underneath there to help assist the ride. Let's have a look. On the back of the troop carrier we made a couple of small changes. What we've done is we took the number plate light off, and the number plate, we filled the holes in and put a badge on the back. We also filled the holes in and mounted the spare tyre onto the Kmart bar. Now as we take a closer look inside, you'll see on the right hand side is where we used to keep the batteries and our inverter power. On the left hand side we also had another battery as well as the air compressor which was stored there. On the back of the cargo barrier there you can see we had the Sterling charger. That was used to charge the batteries, the 240 up through the 240 volts. We had 3 Optimas in it. We had the 2 in the back and we also had one under the bonnet there as well. As you can see, the drawer of the Outback drawers still slid flawlessly at the end of it. It was just getting a little bit beaten around from all that, from all the corrugates and that it had experienced through the Outback. So up on the head console we used to have the old inverter, the inverter switch along with our battery charger monitor, and we had our winch controller up there as well, along with the battery monitor which we had. Round the side we had always had our bass control for the subwoofer, and we used to have a UHF radio which was concealed, and we had our handpiece up the top. Round the other side a couple of USB ports and a power point. So that was basically the setup we had on the original build. As you can see, when we go down to the dashboard, we had all switches. So this was before we actually had the ARB link system. You can see the switches absolutely everywhere in the front of the troop carrier. Always had the HEMA maps there, which used to get us out of trouble. As far as our power goes, you can see we had our solar regulator, as well as the TJM battery monitor that we used to have. Again, that was in there since new from 2011. So let's take a bit of a look. What we first started to do was to strip all the accessories off it. The roof rack, bull bar, side bars, flares, and then the snorkel. We stripped it basically back to a bare shell. We then took it outside. Once we got it outside, we give it a good hose out, clean the outside, then stripped all the seats and all the interior out of the Troopy, and then we proceeded again to give it another good thorough clean. We scoured around all the joints and crevices to make sure we got all that red dust out of it, and just give it a really good solid clean out. Once we had the Troopy clean, we got it back into the shed, and we then gave all the underbody a good underbody spray, sprayed all the black, put some extra sound deadener under the floor, as well as a good underbody spray on all the components, because the underside had copped an absolute beating from the stones over the years. We removed all the windscreen, all the glass and all the windows because we wanted to ensure that when we painted the car that it actually got up into all those areas and to make the new paint got into those areas around where the glass was, and also wanted to ensure that there was no rust in it, and to our surprise there wasn't that much at all. As you can see, when we stripped it out, it just left us with a big pile of parts sitting in the corner of the shed. She then went over to the painters. The painters gave it a good sand back. They primed it, bogged it, filled all the holes up, got the bodywork tip top ready for it to be painted. While the truck was in the Troopy was in getting sprayed, we sent the old Kmart bar off to the sandblasters. It got sandblasted, and then we also then sent it back over to the painter to get painted. We then continued to work on some of the electronics, like the head console, where we installed the battery management systems, the radios in it, and all the other little bits and pieces that we had up in there. We then also set to work on the roof rack, so we started to install the lights. So we fed all the cables through the channel of the roof rack. We put on the awning, shovel, max tracks and all that sort of stuff. At the particular time when we were building it, we didn't realise that we were actually going to put the rooftop tent on. It wasn't until a bit later on that we decided to change that part of the build and put the rooftop tent onto the top. Once we started getting the stuff back, the bar work come back. It looked absolutely spectacular in the graphite, and then all the body parts started to come back being painted in the pearl white, and finally we got the car back. There she is, all in its glory, pearl white. Absolutely fantastic, and couldn't have been happier with the paint job. It come up absolutely superb. Once we got the Troopy back, we then started to reupholster all the interior panels. We also started to install all the electrical components, you know, being the inverter, DC to DC charger, ARB link system, etc. It was probably a good few days in just installing the electrics. As you can see there with the ARB links, we had to install all the solenoids to control the diff locks, as well as the air pressure valve for blowing up, inflating and deflating tyres. And that it also controls the airbags at the back. So really is a great bit of kit, the old ARB links. Very, very happy with it. We fitted the windscreen onto the front. It's probably the 10th windscreen I think the Troopy's had. We then continued on with the bar work, fitting the bull bar, side bars, rear Kmart bar, and the accessories being the driving lights, winch, snorkel, etc. We then set to work building ourselves some custom drawers in the back, and also a fridge slide, and a bit of a kitchen setup, if you like. It come up really, really well there in the end. Got the little pantry, chopping board, etc. Once we got the kitchen done, that's when we realised that there wasn't all as much room as we thought between the top of the drawers and the top, so we decided to go with the LU cab roof tent. Now we went for the LU cab roof tent for a couple of reasons. The main one was the shape of it really suited the Troop carrier better than any other on the market. It sort of looked a bit streamlined when it was on the top. So we cut down the Rhino rack and we made it slip straight in, and it gave it a real neat finish in the end. I actually installed the LU cab on my own with the aid of the winch on the front of the Troop carrier, and once I got it on the side, I actually winched it up into position, and check it out, the end result looks absolutely fantastic. Well, there you have it. That's the history of our 2011 Troopy right through to today. I hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, where we started off from when it was brand new to how we established it back in 2012, I guess, when we had it all finished. Then the hard life it had for the 10 years, and now what we've brought it back to today. If you do want to see the Troopy, what it looks like today and everything that it's got packed inside of it, check out the link on the video. Check out the link at the end of the video. Tap on it and you'll be able to go through. I've done a complete walkthrough of what the Troop carrier's like today and all the goodies that it's got packed into it. Anyway, until next time, it's Jonno Ange from J&A Down Under. Thank you.